Hello, happy Tuesday! Happy Tuesday, everybody! I hope everyone's having a good day. I know that this whole quarantine crap is going crazy. Well, crazy, not really. It's staying the same, but it just seems like it's more normal, which is scary in my own opinion. But today we're going to talk about breathing. Breathing is so freaking important. We do it on a constant basis, or at least we should. And it can vary. It can vary a lot of different ways, and it can be very important on how we actually hold ourselves and how we breathe, and that can play a huge role into some other different categories. So we're going to talk about the categories, that why it's important, what it affects, and then we're going to talk about how you can vary your breath and some different positions that you can try it in at home to see if you can do this and see if you can vary your breath. It's a really important way that I look at people as a PT to see what are they doing, what's happening to their body, what are they using, what are they not using, and it helps kind of tie in the whole system of your body and how it gets put together. Yeah, breathing, it's very hard. It was super challenging for me at one point in time. I had a lot of issues with my back. I had a lot of issues with just my body and how I held myself. My core stability was pretty terrible, and my breath had changed because of that. And it was a huge obstacle for me to actually overcome, for me to get better at before my back pain actually subsided and I changed up how I was using and moving and doing. So I talk about it a lot in the team, making sure you're breathing. It's a constant thing that they hear on the videos of breath, breathing, yada, yada, yada. So why is it important actually? We obviously know that it's breathing. As air comes in, air gets transferred from our lungs to the bloodstream, and then goes out to the rest of our body and delivers that oxygen that's necessary for cells to live, necessary for function, necessary for muscles to work. And so that's basically why you breathe. How can breathing affect you? Breathing can affect you by, if you have like any other lung condition, you aren't getting that transfer over from lungs to bloodstream as well. And so you will have to become more efficient in the rest of your body systems to handle that decrease in transfer. Also, it can come into how you're moving, your mobility. So as we breathe in, our ribs move. They rotate, they expand, they wiggle, and they move with us. Just right now, as you're listening to me, just take a deep breath. You can see how ribs can come out, they can come forward, they can come back, and also your belly can have an effect on this too. And whether that moves out or in with an inhale or an exhale. So mobility is one. Muscle use is another one. And you're like, okay, Liz, yeah, my muscles need oxygen. Well, what muscles you're actually using when you're breathing? And so when we talk about, you're like, okay, the diaphragm. Diaphragm is a muscle. Well, we also use a lot of other muscles whenever we're breathing. We can use what's called our accessory breathing muscles, or we can use some of our main breathing muscles. And our diaphragm is one of our main breathing muscles. Some of our other accessory breathing muscles are our obliques. If you ever do like a forced exhale, just even try it right now, and you'll feel your obliques kick on. That helps expel air out of your lungs. And then also you have neck accessory breathing muscles. It's like whenever you get really tired and you're bent over and you're like, you take some of these muscles up through here and you are pulling your ribs upward. You're grabbing onto these top ones to pull them upward and expand them even more. And so they're also, some of your neck and shoulder muscles are accessory breathing muscles. And they play a huge role, and especially whenever on our mountain bike. They play more of a role when we're planted through our arms. And so if we're planted through our arms, then we're much more likely to use our accessory breathing muscles up through our neck because they have a base of support. They have something that they can pull on. That's why whenever you get tired, you're like, oh. And it's because you can use these ones so much more. That's why it's harder to actually stand up, where you can really expand the rest of your lungs. You can't use your neck muscles and your upper shoulder muscles as much for it. Like, they kick in when your arms are planted, which obviously when we're on our bike, our arms are planted. And so we're going to use some more of those accessory breathing muscles through our neck. And that's going to play a huge role through it. Has anybody ever had like neck tightness that they were just super breathing excessively hard on a climb or while they were riding and they just felt all this tightness come up through their neck? Now, it can be through multiple different reasons why, but one of the reasons is that you're using some of your neck muscles to help you with your breathing, to help you get oxygen in your lungs. You can see them like actually contract and like really pull up on my ribs through here. Has anybody ever felt that? Man, I sure have. I have felt at the top of the climb, I'm like, oh my gosh, Liz, what in the world? Like, why are you using your neck so much? Come on. And that one of those reasons is because you're pulling up through there. Another thing that we use breathing for is actually to calm down. So in our stomach, in our abdomen, our trunk down here, we have ganglions of nerves. You're like, say what? It's a bundle of nerves. And you have 3 of them that reside in your stomach, basically in the front part of your spine. So your spine sits down and you have all these nerves, these big bundles of nerves that sit right in there. Well, while you're breathing or while you're doing something, nerves really, really like rhythmical movements. It really calms them down. If you like even just sit there and you flip your hands back and forth, it can almost be a calming effect because you're adding in a little bit of a stretch, a little bit of a slack on some of your nerves that go down into your arm. And that rhythmical movement helps calm us. Well, we have all these big old nerves in our stomach, these bundles. Diaphragmatic breathing, aka belly breathing, if you do that in a rhythmical way, then that can also give that rhythmical calming effect to those nerves. And it can help them out a ton and make them calm down with it. So we have several different ways that we breathe. One is belly breathing. One is just expanding more so the lower part of our ribs in the front or the back. And then another one is more upper chest and breathing up through here. Now, while you're sitting here, while you're listening to me, can you breathe in these different places? Can you give yourself a belly breath? As you breathe in, your belly expands outwards, and as you breathe out, your belly comes in. Let me say this again, because a lot of people that have trouble doing some of these different variations, they'll actually do it backwards. So you'll want to, as you inhale, you'll want to suck in because that puts more of the oxygen, more of the air actually up into your chest cavity instead of actually into your belly. You're still going to be moving your belly, but it's not in the correct way that your diaphragm is dropping as it expands with oxygen or air, and then your diaphragm comes back up as the air goes away. And so it makes sense as you put more air into your chest, into your body, that it would fill up into your abdomen. And as you expel, as you breathe out, it comes back up and your belly comes in. So breathe in, belly comes out, breathe out, belly goes back in. And it's hard if you're not supported. It's also hard if you have never tried this before. So belly breath is one, back or rib cage breathing through here is another, and then back more so through here, and then upper chest is the other. And so you need to be able to understand which ones are which and how to do each one of them. So I'm going to have you lay on your side for this. And what I want you to practice is just, if you can, belly breathe. Breathe in, breathe into your hand, breathe out, and you want to feel those abs kind of tighten at the end of it. Then once you've got that one down, let's see if you can breathe in through your chest. So breathe in and think about expanding the lower part just below your boobs, expanding that part out. And then as it comes back in, and you'll notice this mobility, if you have where it feels a little stiff in certain areas. And so our thoracic spine, or the part of the spine that the ribs come into, is super important for our neck, our shoulders, and our low back health and mobility. It's one of the most stable areas of our body because we have ribs that attach to it. Like, it's freaking force right through here. Like, you can take some massive impact. It's because we have some pretty important things underneath of that. We have our lungs, we have our heart. Like, those are some pretty important things. We have our kidneys back here. And like, we need some structure and stability if we fall or crush ourselves. Like, we're not going to crush our vital organs. And so breathing, if you feel like a stiffness in a certain area, breathe into that stiffness. Make it move. Do an on breath and an off breath to focus in on that area. Because a lot of us have crashed. A lot of us have crashed our mountain bikes, and where we'll keep some of the stiffness is our thoracic spine. And that's super important to make sure that we get the mobility through there. And that's where it all comes a roll and comes a play through this. Does this all make sense? Is this making sense for everybody? Everybody rocking and rolling with it on how that mobility can restrict how you're getting that air in. And so making sure that you can breathe into it. Now, also, it's harder on your side. It's easier when you're sitting up or reclined, is to make sure you can breathe into your upper chest. This is a place that most people feel the most comfortable breathing into because it's where we breathe into on a day-to-day basis most of the time. And it's this shallow chest breath. You notice that it's not as deep as, because I'm not filling up the majority of my lungs. Now, why does that actually matter? Why do I care if you're filling your lungs up in the top part or filling your lungs up at the bottom part? So why it matters that we actually get breath into the bottommost part of our lungs is because that's where we have the most blood flow. It's called perfusion. That's where we have the most blood that's coming through into our lungs and going to get that oxygen exchange, going to get that gas exchange, deliver CO2 out, take oxygen in. And if we don't get our air actually down into that bottommost part of our lungs, one, we're missing some lung health that we need. Two, we're missing some of the mobility of making sure that we have our ribs and our thoracic spine moving. But three, we're not going to get a good exchange rate. For our breath that we did, it's not going to give us as much oxygen in the top part of our lungs as in the bottom part. And so making sure that you can do a diaphragmatic breath, making sure you can take a deep breath and expand in through the lower part of your chest and not just upper chest breathe is super important for that gas exchange. Everybody says they want to increase their endurance. Everybody wants to not breathe as hard on their climbs. Well, you better make each breath as efficient as possible, because if you're only getting like 5 O2s changed into your bloodstream versus 10, I'm pretty sure I'd rather take the 10 and not have to breathe twice as many times. Like, that's a huge component of it. It makes sure that you can get that gas exchange versus you're getting it, you're surviving, but it's not as efficient as you want it to be. It also, the more that you breathe through here, the more stress you have on your neck. Just as I was talking about earlier, about how that plays that role into it. You will breathe through here and it will stress those muscles more. And they're not made to go for forever. They're made to help out for brief bits and then move on. Brief bits, then move on. And that's how they're designed with it. They're not designed to be your marathon runner that's just going to go for freaking forever, like some of your intercostal muscles, the muscles in between your ribs. Those guys are designed to go forever. Your obliques, like those muscles are designed to freaking charge for a long time. They're like your marathon muscles. And so making sure that you can do these different breaths, doing it in sideline, doing it on your hands and knees, making sure that you can Breathe in through here, making sure that you can breathe in through the bottom of your rib cage. Breathe in through the back part. And then also a top breath, like making sure you can do all these different types of breathing in these different positions. The next one you're going to do is more of a tall kneeling. I know you can't see my head anymore, but belly breath here. Chest expansion on the lower part, chest expansion on the upper part. Making sure you can do all those different types in those different positions help you to be able to, 1, do exercises to train, 2, on the bike for making sure you're most efficient, and then 3, making sure that your mobility is good in these different areas. Making sure that you can expand, making sure that it's not just an inhibition. Also, it can help with general lung health, making sure you're using all of your lungs and not just the topmost portion. That's how we can help ourselves within all the stuff that's, 1, going on right now, but then 2, just in general. I don't really see a lot of information on breathing in different areas. There's a lot on diaphragmatic breathing, which is great, can help with a lot of things, but also learning how to breathe and where you breathe in other areas and what muscles help with it. That's an important and really good way of thinking about it, especially whenever you're just even chugging up some gravel climbs or some fire roads or going around your yard, because those aren't open right now. All right, ladies, have a wonderful night. Let me know if you have any other questions on this, and if you want any more videos on this, or what the next topic you would like. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful night, and enjoy. Bye, guys.